This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. We continue our coverage of St. Croix's Lime Tree Bay refinery and efforts to ensure the oil refinery is operating safely. Virgin Islands Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett is speaking out about the Lime Tree Bay refinery shutdown. Our Washington correspondent Matt Knadler sits down one-on-one with Congresswoman Plaskett to learn more about what's next.
Well, thanks again for the time. I'll pick up with the Lime Tree Bay refinery issue. I guess
Yes.
if you could just give me a general sense of what you're hearing from the federal level to reopen the facility.
Sure. We've had some discussions with EPA as well as with the leadership of Lime Tree Bay to get a sense of what the EPA is expecting, the response of Lime Tree at this time. I'm pleased that the EPA recognizes that they have a responsibility to ensure that the refinery is operating in a safer manner for not only the residents in the area, but the workers, excuse me, but also for our long-term, the welfare and environment of the Virgin Islands and specifically St. Croix. And they're trying as much as possible to work with Lime Tree to ensure that that is done appropriately. What they've expressed to me is that the Virgin Islands has made a decision that they want a refinery in that location. And it's their job to ensure that if a refinery is operating, that it's operating appropriately. At the same time, in the conversations that I've had with Lime Tree, they've expressed disappointment that they have had these mishaps, recognizing that this is not something that ideally they would like to happen. The malodors, the flames, the flarings that are going on, as well as many of the mishaps that have happened in the startup of the refinery. They're troubling to Lime Tree, they're troubling to me, and they're especially troubling to the Environmental Protection Agency. And so we're all working as much as possible to ensure that if the refinery continues to operate, that it does so safely. The other thing that I'm really pleased about is that EPA is not only set up a hotline, specific hotline just for residents of St. Croix. They also have someone that is there on the ground that is a resident of St. Croix that is working with them, someone who's come from the main office at EPA. They are evaluating the monitors that are in place, making sure that they are, in fact, they're doing an assessment to make sure that they're in the right locations to continue the monitoring. And, they're going to hold Lime Tree to the consent decree and to doing what's right for the people of St. Croix. So I'm going to continue to monitor that and to see what happens with that. We recognize that there's been some change in the structure of ArcLight, the owners of Lime Tree. And so our office is evaluating what does that mean specifically to the people of the Virgin Islands. We don't want to find ourselves in the same position we were in 2012, where we were caught off guard when Hovensa decided that they wanted to close.
Police in St. Thomas are investigating a deadly hit-and-run vehicle pedestrian accident. It happened Sunday around 10 p.m. on Brookman Road. Investigators say a 37-year-old man was walking across the road when a maroon Acura MDX hit him and didn't stop. Emergency crews rushed the victim, identified as Royson Jeannot Baptiste, to the hospital where he died shortly after from his injuries. The VIPD is actively searching for the driver of a maroon Acura MDX, possibly with damage on it. If you can help police locate the vehicle, you're asked to call 911 or Virgin Islands Police. Continuing coverage now about some welcome news for the cruise ship industry that was devastated by the pandemic. It has been a long 15 months, but we're getting a first glimpse at what the industry hopes is a summer of smooth sailing. But before ships leave U.S. ports, they'll have to overcome a potential new roadblock. Some health and safety rules for those voyages are still in limbo. Today, cruise ships are back at sea. Celebrity Cruises, the first U.S.-based cruise line to bring passengers aboard since the pandemic shut down the industry, setting sail from St. Martin.
We last stepped off of a ship 472 days ago, and that's the longest in my entire life I've gone without being on a ship.
Before boarding, passengers 16 and older were required to show proof of COVID vaccination. Once on the ship, enhanced cleaning protocols are in place. Social distancing is encouraged, but masks are not required. Billy Hirsch is one of the 580 people on board the 7-night Caribbean voyage.
There is a buffet here, but you don't serve yourself. The crew serves you.
With ships already out at sea, some passengers set to embark stateside are now subject to a sudden policy reversal. Royal Caribbean International saying vaccines will be strongly recommended, but ultimately optional for guests on its U.S. cruises. Adding those who are unvaccinated or unable to verify vaccination will be required to undergo testing and follow other protocols, which will be announced at a later date. The change goes against CDC guidelines that recommend U.S. cruise ships require passengers to be vaccinated. It also comes as Florida, the nation's largest cruise hub, is set to enact a law that would ban cruise lines and other businesses from asking people to show proof of vaccination or face fines of up to $5,000 per passenger. Industry insiders say the new law could force cruise lines out of the state.
This puts the cruise lines in a rock and hard place right now because, one, they're burning millions and millions of dollars a day just having their ships idle.
Back in the Caribbean, passengers emotional about a sense of normalcy on the horizon.
I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't a moment or two that I thought about crying. It is so far beyond just the excitement of a normal vacation.
A Celebrity cruise line trip is scheduled to leave from Florida later this month. It would be the first major cruise line to set sail from the U.S. with paying passengers in more than a year. While vaccinations are required for guests at this point, it's unclear if the new Florida rule will prevent the trip from taking place as planned. As we reported, VI Governor Albert Bryan is asking Florida's governor to reconsider the law blocking cruise ships from requiring proof of vaccination. He sent a letter to Governor Ron DeSantis this week. Meantime, Norwegian Cruise Lines plans to begin sailing again in August. The Florida-based cruise line says it will follow the Sail Safe protocol, which includes having a fully vaccinated crew and guests for voyages. The first cruise is set to set sail from Miami to the Caribbean on August 15th. Last month, the CDC issued new guidance for cruise companies to start trial voyages before applying for a COVID-19 conditional sailing certificate. From the waters to the skies, United Airlines is offering more pay for proof of COVID vaccination. United will give flight attendants and pilots up to 3 additional days off or nearly 10 hours of pay in their 2022 vacation day bank if they show they have been fully vaccinated by June 9th. They could also get 2 days of pay if they receive their first dose or a single dose between June 10th and July 1st. The incentive is one of many companies are offering to encourage more employees to get their COVID vaccine. We have a warning to vehicle owners in St. Thomas who abandoned their vehicles. Move it or lose it. The Department of Public Works wants people with abandoned vehicles in the Fort Christian parking lot to contact their office ASAP. According to the laws, no junked motor vehicles shall be permitted on or alongside any street or road or on private property in plain view from a road. Several abandoned vehicles have been neglected and are in violation of those rules and regulations of the parking lot facility. DPW says it has made several attempts to contact the owners to remove their vehicles over the past month. So this serves as a public notice, and this is a final warning public notice. Vehicles that are not removed by this Friday, June 11th by 4:30 p.m. will be taken into custody by the Virgin Islands Police Department and disposed of. Violators will also be subject to a fine of up to $2,500 per vehicle.